I sat down to talk with Donald Trump this afternoon. We took up a number of issues ranging from radical Islamist terrorism and national security to our middle class, a return to prosperity, and just who will be the best candidate to create jobs as president. Here's that interview. 1 year ago, you had just set upon what some called a quixotic adventure, one that's even unserious. You're now the nominee, and you are besieged from every direction. You're in a fight with the Republican, part of the Republican establishment, the Democratic establishment, the party, and the national liberal media. I've never seen the like of it, and I've been covering presidential politics one way or the other for 40 years.
Well, you're right. I mean, as we were just saying, Ronald Reagan went through a lot, but people say it wasn't as bad as this. And other than that, I've heard of no other analogy. I'll have something where I think it's a big victory day, and I'll read about it the next day in the newspapers, and it's like terrible news. The dishonesty of the media, much of it, not all of it, but the dishonesty of the media is beyond belief. It's beyond belief. And I think the amazing thing is you see all the polls coming out today, and one of the anchors from one of the networks said, whoa, they couldn't believe that I'm right there.
Right.
And I guess we're tied in Ohio and essentially tied in Pennsylvania and very close nationwide. And
right.
The CNN poll is an example.
6 to 7 points.
Yeah,
and
5 points, actually.
At this point, that, frankly, it's so early.
It's very early.
So many people are writing as if this thing's over because we're almost a month from the convention.
Yeah.
This is just beginning.
Well, for me, it's just beginning. You know, when I first started with the 17 total people that we had, I started at nothing and rapidly went up. And, you know, that was not very much different other than we had a lot of people. We had a total of 17, so 16. I had 16 opponents. But I will tell you, I've never seen more unfair press coverage. Even the New York Times, when they did the story on the women, and the women came out and they said, Donald Trump's a great guy. That wasn't what we were saying, and it wasn't our thoughts, and they were totally discredited.
And they immediately retracted and corrected everything they'd
They don't want
reported.
to do it. But, I mean, they saw us, and they sort of, in their own way, apologize as much as they can. But it's ridiculous. And it was a front-page story, and it was ridiculous. And how nice were those women to come forward and to say, that's not what we said.
Yeah, remarkable.
And I haven't seen them for many years. They were remarkable people. So, you know, I have great respect. I have great respect for what happened, but it's very unfair from the media standpoint.
You've restructured your campaign, a shake-up at the top. Is this the reset that you have allowed people to speculate about? Is there going to be one, and if so, what direction?
Well, Corey did a very good job, and he's a great guy, and you know, I'm very proud of him. And I watched him, the way he handled it, because it's a hard thing for somebody, and he handled it so beautifully. We got the largest vote in the history of Republican politics in the primaries by a lot, almost 14 million votes, and 37 states. We had big victories. This is different. This is much nastier. I cannot believe it, because I thought it would be, you know, actually you would think it would be easier, because instead of going against...
Did you think it would be easier?
I thought it would be perhaps easier, although everyone that knew said, no, it's going to be more vicious because the press is so dishonest. The amazing thing, the public understands the press is dishonest, or I wouldn't be doing the kind of numbers that I'm doing in the polls.
Is the Republican establishment dishonest, or substantial numbers of it?
Well, I'll let you know in a couple of weeks. I will say I'm disappointed in some. Now, they don't write about, I mean, I've had so many great calls. Darrell Issa called, and so many that are so with me. Nobody writes about all of the people that are really, really with me. Senator Jeff Sessions, I mean, you take a look at him, he is like a rock. He's so solid and highly respected. I mean, Ted Cruz,
Absolutely.
as an example, I think respects him just about more than any other senator. So many people do, and he is a solid rock. And there are others. But if there's one that's a little bit out, or, you know, in some cases, like Lindsey Graham, I competed against him, and obviously I did very well against him, to put it mildly, and boy, he's nasty. You know, he just goes on television, and nobody ever says that he lost. You know, people forget. There's like a 2-week span. So people forget that I was competing against Lindsey Graham, but he is nasty, and he's nasty.
Well, you've reached out to him, though, have you not?
No, he called me.
Okay.
He actually called me. I respected the call. I thought it was good. We had a nice call, and he was nice for about a week, and then he went nasty again. So, you know, it's sort of a strange thing going on.
Nature is a funny thing.
Well, well, look, losing is not easy.
Right.
But a lot of people don't know that he lost. You know, now he just sits there as a senator from South Carolina, and
well, there's 16 people out there you beat. There's one more for you to beat.
Right.
And when you talk about nasty, she has a machine that is nasty, effective, tough and tried and tested. She was beaten by Barack Obama, obviously. How are you going to beat her?
I think I'm going to do well. I think you see that. I have been brutalized by the press for 3 weeks, and she has had the best week she's ever had. And there's very little difference in the polls. I mean, you're seeing that. That's what the shock was today. They said, whoa, what's going on here? You know, they thought the number would be a lot different than it is. And we have a group of people that, by millions and millions of people, you saw what happened in the primaries, how so many people more voted than they did, as you know, 4 years ago.
Right.
And I think we're going to do very well. I think it's going to be a big, beautiful surprise. And that probably started today, because really people thought that she would have had a much bigger margin. The margin's very tight, and in Ohio it's even, and in Pennsylvania it's even, and I think we're doing great in Florida, but nationwide we're doing very well against her. So I think we're going to do very well.
Some reporters in Washington covering the campaign took note that this was the first day of Paul Manafort being in charge. He said there are actually very, very distinct differences, and amongst those differences are the amount of PR releases and statements coming out of your campaign. Is that what you expected?
Well, first of all, I have to tell you, Paul and Corey actually got along very well, and they're very different people, and they handle different parts. So in that sense, there was not a problem at all. I think I was very responsible for a lot of what took place today, because the last time I heard her speak, I thought it was an average speech at best. And then the press says, oh, it was wonderful, wonderful. You know, she's reading off a teleprompter, and they build it up like great. I said, you have to do something, because now she's doing another speech, and she just did it. And I said, now when she lies, we have to counteract the lie, because the last time she kept lying and telling untruths. She talked about Japan and the military and all of the things, and she didn't say it the way I said it. It was total untruth. And I said, this time, as she lies, we're going to counteract it. And we did. I hope you think it was effective, but I noticed they did break into her speech a lot.
It's also interesting that you're going to be following by one day her speech, and your subject tomorrow will be Hillary Clinton. We're going to come back and get a preview, if we may, of what you're going to focus on as you address the former secretary. We'll be right back after these messages with Donald Trump.